Welcome to Inland Empire Alive, bringing you issues, events, and perspectives from throughout San Bernardino and Riverside counties. I'm David Brady, and on today's show, I'll welcome Dr. Judy White to talk about her more than 4 decades of pioneering leadership in local public education. That's today on Inland Empire Alive. Well, it's a great privilege to welcome my next guest, Dr. Judy White, a pioneer in local education. Dr. White, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Now, I know that you had spent more than 4 decades serving local public education before retirement in 2020, but recently you actually were asked to come out of retirement and serve an interim stint leading the Rialto Unified School District. Was that a difficult decision to make, to come back out of retirement?
It was very difficult. As you stated, I've spent 45 years in the field of education, and I did receive a call from county schools to consider coming out of retirement and serving in Rialto. And I said no initially, and then they called back and they said, we really need you. And it took a lot of prayer, but I decided to do it because my pastor once said, if you help people, if you can help people, help people. And that's why I went.
Now, I looked at the specific timing of when you retired and
Yes.
when you came back. And in those short span of years, the world changed so much. And in particular, education from the pandemic and the remote learning and sort of the loss of a lot of learning skills. Talk to me about, what you discovered when you came back and kind of the state that schools were in.
I did discover that there has been a lot of learning loss, but I also discovered that there are a lot of people who want to be part of the solution. Some of the emphasis, though, had to be given to parents because parents have lost some things, too, during that time. And it seems like there was more intensity in the air. And this is not just for Rialto, but for educational systems throughout. And but the technology has expanded and astronomically has expanded. And when you think about AI, and that was one of the most awakening things that I did observe as I was walking through schools and talking to people. Artificial intelligence is trying to bridge the gap. And but one thing I do know, it doesn't matter if it was 2020 or 2025, people care about students. And you have to help them feel valued so that they can work at their maximum potential.
What are some of those qualities that you brought to the role of superintendent that you think were informed by your personal upbringing?
I think when I go back is to believe in students. I actually was born in Los Angeles and raised in San Bernardino. And sometimes people didn't have high expectations of students, especially if they were in low-income areas. And so I made sure that my influence in education was to raise expectations, to know that everyone had potential. And so I think this is something that I shared. The other part is having integrity. I believe that educators have to have integrity and do what they mean and mean what they say, and to help every student to be successful.
When you were growing up, you were a
Yes.
little girl,
Mm-hmm.
when did you know that education would become a calling, a career?
I didn't. I'll tell you, I grew up, I love writing.
Oh, okay.
And so I wanted to be a journalist. And I went to school, I did my very, very best, straight A student, and I had scholarships everywhere. And I chose to go to Occidental College as a journalist. In my senior year, I worked at an elementary school just to make extra money, and I fell in love with it. And I graduated, immediately went into my master's degree in education so that I could change my career. And then I've been there all that time.
What made you fall in love with it?
The students. It was actually the students, the way that they looked at me and made me believe that I had some magic that I could help them to be the best that they could be. It was the students. And I liked the environment of a school setting and being able to impact the lives of students.
Was it ever challenging to feel like you had those expectations to live up to? Like suddenly you're a role model.
You are a role model. I'm a woman of faith, and I believe that because my faith is so strong, I always felt like I was representing something greater than myself. And so it wasn't difficult. I just had to be sincere. And even when I worked at the high school, the students wanted someone genuine. They wanted to know that you were authentic. And then you had to be knowledgeable, of course. So I love learning. I've always tried to be at the top of everything to learn. And I've been confident in my work, but still loving learning, yes.
Did anything, I asked this same question of Superintendent Ariano. When you transitioned from being a student to being a teacher, and then you got more into the administrative side, did anything surprise you about that side of public education? It's a very different world when you get into budgets and scheduling and personnel issues.
I think the first thing that surprised me is when I walked through classrooms as an administrator and I discovered that every teacher did not teach the way I taught. Every teacher wasn't teaching from bell to bell, but I also learned that it wasn't because they didn't want to, they needed to be taught skills. So I think that was a difference. And then maybe the emphasis on technical things as opposed to human behavior, that's at the administrative level. And in some cases, it was competitive. You want your school to have the highest test scores. And I've always been the type of person who wanted to pour into people. If you pour into people, your test scores will go up. That means your professional development as well as caring for them as a human being.
Well, we will hear much more from Dr. Judy White when we come back after these messages.
Join us for our weekly Farmers Market in San Bernardino. The Farmers Market is ongoing every Tuesday at Court Street Square, located at 349 Northeast Street from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This event features both farmers and hot food vendors. Come purchase fresh produce at the Farmers Market and enjoy a nutritious lunch for the day. This is a certified farmers market with fresh and quality produce grown by real farmers from the region. For more information, visit our website at sbcity.org/parks. You can also call us at 909-384-5233 or email us at recreation@sbcity.org. See you there.
Well, I'm talking with Judy White, a pioneer in local education for 45 years. I wanted to ask, in looking back on your career and all of the accomplishments, are there particular successes that you point to as the things you're most proud of?
Yes. The community they call me a history maker and a stereotype breaker, because in many of my roles, I was the first female or the first person of color. But you're not there for the title. So my accomplishments, City of Readers, we gave out 1 million books to students in San Bernardino. Adopt a School program in Moreno Valley. Each and every one of the 35 schools was adopted by business, community partners, or faith-based community partner. And one school had 32 partners. As a county superintendent during COVID, we raised $10 million to make sure that every single student in our county had a device during those times. So those are some accomplishments that I can say with the teams that I work with, we were able to achieve.
Well, and you moved the needle in terms of graduation rates.
Yes.
And I mean, measurable differences.
Graduation rates in Moreno Valley, but also Riverside County. We became the first county with a population over 25,000 to have over 90% graduation rates in the whole state of California.
That's
outstanding. Bigger than Orange County, more than San Bernardino and LA. Yes, that was something that did happen.
What do you hope continues as your legacy? Obviously, at some point you have to sort of put the baton down, pass it to the next generation. What do you hope is sort of carried on that you sort of left?
I think I would want high road leadership to be carried on. John Maxwell wrote a book about high road leadership, and it says leaders can either have low road, middle, or high road. And it's very specific about what that means. Treating people better than they treat you. There's a lot of points to it, but I want high road leadership as a legacy to remember me.
Is it uncomfortable hearing the positive things people say about you, the accolades? Does it feel strange to be talked about in such glowing terms as a pioneer, as a, like you said, a stereotype breaker,
You know what you have to do? You have to remain humble, and not just saying that. You have to remember where your strength comes from and where your favor comes from. So as a woman of faith, I don't see it. I feel like it's giving God the glory, not me. And he has been so good to me throughout the years, even in a situation where I was a hostage once. I was a hostage.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, I was a hostage held 14 hours at gunpoint and rescued by the SWAT team. But in that situation, I made a commitment, and my commitment to my Creator was that if my children grow up with their mother, I was going to continue to serve, but also to help people and to bring races together. I always had this in my heart about racial unity.
Before I let you go, I want to talk a little bit about your nonprofit organization,
Yes.
Mosaic. Tell me about some of the work you're doing today.
I feel that the thought of Mosaic was born out of that situation and that commitment. But we have, it's over 500 people who have committed to racial healing and unity. And we give out scholarships to students every year. We've given out over $40,000 in scholarships to students who show inclusivity on their campuses and caring for one another, valuing humanity. And we also recognize educators throughout the Inland Empire who have either campuses, school districts, or classrooms, libraries that help people to feel that they are valued as human beings.
When you see someone like Mauricio Arellano,
Yes.
and he is named Superintendent of the Year, what does
Yes.
that say to you about the quality of leadership for this community?
That tells me that it is real. It is real. And Mauricio also was someone that was a principal when I was a deputy superintendent. It's a small world, but people who want to do right will choose to do right. But he has brought San Bernardino City to a whole nother level. And that 2030 vision that he's working on, or they're working towards, it's commendable. And talent is in San Bernardino, has always been in San Bernardino. And I'm proud to say that I'm a graduate of Cajon High School in San Bernardino. So we have a lot of pride here.
Well, how important is it you to pay it forward in your own community? Again, to have, grown up in an area and then come back and served that same community.
Do you know that when I went away to college, I was told by community members who contributed to my scholarship that I had to come back. I didn't know I had a choice. They said, you have to come back and serve your community. And I believed it as an 18-year-old, and I came back and I've served in the Inland Empire since that time.
But you believe in it.
I believe it.
In the
Oh, and I'm so glad
concept of, coming
absolutely.
back and, giving back to the
Absolutely.
place that gave everything to you. And
I do believe in it, and I believe that's how you build capacity within your community. And I love this community.
Well, Dr. White, I want to thank you so much for being on the program, and especially for 45 years plus of service to our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Visit iealive.com.